Album Concept Hour. The Album Concept Hour. It's the Album Concept Hour.
Welcome everybody to the Album Concept Hour. I am your host, Brad LeBaron, as always. And one of these days, I might not be Brad LeBaron, and you guys are going to be very confused. But for now, I'm Brad LeBaron. And we have our virtual co-hosts. As usual, we have virtual John. What's going on, John?
Oh, just checking in over here, having a good day, man.
Hell yeah, John.
Ready to break down some music like huge.
Yeah. It's another week, another album. And today we have virtual Dave as well. What's going on, Dave?
Hello.
Tango and Cash.
And then we have a very special guest. They have been on the podcast one other time. And that was for, actually, it was for Danger Doom. Speaking of, I forgot about the relevance. But you were on a Danger Doom episode, which was amazing, The Mouse and the Mask. This is Sam Bronn. Welcome, Sam.
Hey, hello.
Welcome back, man.
Really good to be back.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, thanks for being on. I have been meaning to have you on at some point during the pandemic, and you've been on the Discord a little bit, which we have going, by the way. I'll put a link in the description.
It's great. It's a good place to pick up album recommendations.
Yeah, and we need more album recommendations and more Desert Island 5s, guys. We need more music recommendations from you. So click on that Discord link and let us know what yours are. We actually, just as of today, we have put out the Album Concept Hour Discord Spotify playlist, which has like a song or two from each of the ones that people have put out so far. So if you want to add to that list, again, Discord. But today we are brought together. Well, first of all, we're brought together for King Crimson in the Court of the Crimson King. But we are going to get to that in a second. So if you want to listen to that part, skip ahead like maybe 10 minutes or something. But first, we are going to talk about what's happening right now in music. One of the greats has passed away. MF Doom. I know, if you like the music we like, you've definitely heard the name. But yeah, we figured this episode we take like a few tracks to kind of like remember MF Doom and just kind of highlight a little bit of his stuff. But yeah, I mean it's sad news. And so bizarre in the sense that it's like he's been gone for a while already.
I mean, it's pretty on brand for him, though, if you think about it, that it happened on Halloween and we didn't hear about it until January.
That's true. For a person that had the whole like kerfuffle where like people got mad at him for someone that wasn't him being on stage, which I think is just funny.
It happened a lot, actually, like really often. Yeah. And after he died, I saw an anecdote that Talib Kweli said about when he was on tour with him in the early days. And he asked why he would do that. And he said, these people are paying for an interaction with a villain. So sometimes that's what they get.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Whenever I think about it, that's exactly what I think. I'm like, his entire discography is about villainy.
Yeah.
So can you really hold it against him?
He played his character really well till the very, very end.
Yeah. What about you, Dave? Are you were you like familiar with MF Doom? In his like heyday.
A bit. The only two albums I'm really familiar with was the Food and Mad Villainy. Those are the two I'd probably listen to the most of his discography.
Great albums.
Yeah. They're both solid start to finish. Yeah. Yeah, and it was he was one of the people that kind of got me into hip hop more solidly, along with like Run the Jewels. Um, like I think largely because of the fact that there was that like Adult Swim connection, there was the cartoon connection, and the idea. Like I hadn't heard any hip hop with that previously to MF Doom. So, it was a really eye-opening experience to get his stuff under my belt. But yeah, what was I gonna say? I feel like I had something else to say about Doom. Oh yeah, Killer Mike was actually asked about MF Doom on the late night show last night. And Sam, you'll be excited to say he said the exact same thing you said on the Discord, all caps when you say the name.
That's right. Every time, forever and ever.
Yeah. And he wrote it on a piece of paper and like held it in front of the camera and dropped it and shit. Like Killer Mike was just like, it was the best like response for like, Killer Mike, what do you think about what's going, MF Doom's passing and all that? All caps when you're saying the name. So, yeah, it's he and to get real for a second though, he had a rough kind of time the last little while. He's lost family very close to him. So I mean, yeah, it's a tragedy, but it's I'm sure that there was a lot more going on in his life that he didn't want to necessarily be hashed out in the public eye and stuff.
Yeah.
But
I mean, he was a pretty notoriously private person, which I always felt like a part of that was why he wore the mask a lot on stage, at least in the beginning.
I agree.
But it's really sad. I mean, for me, he's on my personal like Mount Rushmore of hip hop. But I know that's a very subjective thing, but he really did exemplify a style of hip hop for a long time.
Well, he is like one of the most remixed like rappers out there. There's so many different things out there that have just taken MF Doom and X and like made a combination of those two things.
Well, his
like kind of like the Gray album, Yeah. People have done that kind of stuff with a lot of Doom stuff.
I mean, his delivery and his rhyme schemes are so specific and so distinctive. No one sounded like him and probably ever will. It's just a very unique thing. Yeah.
Well, you want to listen to the first song that I've picked for this?
Yeah.
And then we can get into the second one. So this is Curls.
Life is like a folklore legend. Why you're so stiff, you need to smoke more, brethren. Instead of trying to riff with the broke war veteran. Spliff made him swore he saw heaven, he was 7. Yup, you know it. Growing up too fast. Showing up to class with my wet in a flask. He asked the teacher.
Man. Like, the production and the delivery are just so unique to him,
Oh, for sure. I mean, that beat by Madlib is exceptional, and then he sits so perfectly like in and around it. Well, like creating these really intricate rhyming flows that
I like that. What I picked for the clip was the part where he's talking about his life is like a folklore legend. Why you so stiff? You need smoke more, brethren. That's nice. Instead of trying to riff with a broke war veteran, God damn it, he's just so fucking good at this wordplay. Like just reading it out loud, it's just like, how did you even like put that together?
I tell you, man, I've seen all these famous people and all these like prophet type people dying.
I know, man.
Somebody's taking them. Somebody's taking them for a reason.
Well, I
think Jesus is coming back with his fiery sword of death.
Maybe there's like a rap super group that's forming in heaven, You know how they always have those rock supergroups forming in heaven?
That crappy poster at the poster store with like Janis Joplin.
Yeah. Exactly.
Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix.
That you get for your college dorm.
That'd be a hell of a supergroup, though.
That'd be a weird band.
It would be weird, yeah.
And you like Night Ranger.
So much screaming, a lot of egos jumping around.
Yep.
Yeah. And then you just have like some like non-musician in the group for some reason.
It's a group business, nothing but.
You gotta have someone to tap the tambourine, Brad.
Yeah, you got
his '60s music here.
Managed by John McCain. Because I'm sure he's got to be doing something up there. I don't know. We should also mention in this, like, we don't know what is going to happen between now and when this episode releases, but it should be noted Dr. Dre is also in some trouble right now. He had an aneurysm, and he's in the hospital. We are hoping and praying that it will not go the way of MF Doom, because we can't lose these two guys so close to one another.
Jesus ain't forgetting about Dre, Brad. Jesus ain't forgetting about Dre.
You know, they can have Dre for the supergroup later, okay? Hey guys, I just wanted to check in and let you guys know that as of the mixing of this podcast, Dr. Dre is still okay and expects to make a full recovery and get back home soon. We still wish him well wishes and a speedy recovery. He still has more interesting beats and headphones to create. But yeah, I also, it sucks in a way though. MF Doom died on Halloween because that's when our first episode came out, and that's when our anniversary is always going to be. So every anniversary, we will have a Doom moment, guys. That is what I'm going to say right now. We will have to remember Doom every anniversary.
Should make a note about that, Brad.
I should make a note.
You got a whole
I should make a note about that.
You should make a note.
Doom anniversary. Oh, that sounds like it's an anniversary for his death, but that's not what I mean.
Doctor
Doom. Yeah, we got one more track to go through before we get out of here, and I didn't mean to pick both from the same album, but it's a great album, Mad Villain. And like we were talking about earlier, it's the song All Caps.
Showing what they know now through flows of hot molasses. Do it like the robot to headspin to boogaloo. Took a few minutes to convince the average boogaboo. It's ugly, like look at you, it's a damn shame. Just remember all caps when you spell the man name. You know,
I was just thinking, honestly, if you like this era of hip hop, you should check out my friend Tayamu Danku and like Rambunctious. Like they really like get into this like era of hip hop, and their productions are done by this German guy, Bofat Beats, who makes just the sickest beats ever. But yeah, All Caps. You know, he's so great at talking about himself, you know?
His characterization of himself really is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It's like weird bragging, but also self-deprecating.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
He doesn't shy away, like, almost all rappers are just talking about how cool they are, you know? And he's just, you know, he's embracing the weirdness in every turn, you know, like, because, yeah, he is like, you know, talking like, you know, just remember all caps when you spell the man name. So, I mean, he's got like, he does have the clout and like the, you know, he like can talk that shit if you want.
Yeah, braggadocious kind of thing.
Yeah. But he often plays it cool and talks about like maybe some weird toe fungus or some shit.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Or, you know, raps about soup for 2.5 minutes.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, the whole food album or whatever with like, it's rapping about food.
Yeah, just a whole album
Yeah.
I mean,
like
they're
something
not.
the ODB could easily do just for 45 minutes, just talking about food.
I would listen to that.
Oh,
I'd listen to it again and again.
Yeah. I always doesn't his son do like fill in as ODB sometimes?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah,
it's great.
That's fucking fantastic.
Yeah,
I love that they're always still doing stuff.
He looks and sounds very, very close to ODB, but it's funny because when you see them, he looks like you remember ODB, but the rest of the Wu-Tang Clan has aged visibly. And so it's just like 25-year-old ODB, and then like Jizza and RZA are up there. They're like 40-something, you know?
Like some weird time travel movie or something like ODB has to get back.
Yeah. They Bill and Ted hustled into the Wu-Tang show.
Oh, man.
We need to get ODB to the show.
Man, whenever like I create the Wu-Tang heist movie that I'm going to create for them to steal back the record that they sold to Anthony Scarelli, we're gonna need young ODB in that endeavor because like there's gonna be the team up, Ocean's 11 sequence. Yep. They're going to steal that record with Bill Murray. But it's so cool that they're. I think that I heard that he was going to be on the Hulu show, but he wasn't. I guess actor enough to play him.
I mean, he goes by Young Dirty Bastard, and that
tracks.
Dude, he leans into it. Like when I saw them, he.
Wait, when did you see him?
I saw them in 2010. I want to say.
Oh man, you know what? You probably told me that at some point. You probably saw him like right before I met you.
Yeah, it was right at after college.
Yeah.
Like the summer after I left school.
Oh, man.
It was in Chicago, behind somewhere near the White Sox Stadium. Man. I do not remember the name of the venue.
If you guys like what we're talking about right now, look forward to our 36 Chambers episode. It is promised. It will come. And we're going to talk all about the Wu-Tang. But because I'm the host, I'm going to shift some gears. And we're going to get into King Crimson. Sorry, R.I.P. Doom. Salute.
Right, cheers.
We will miss you forever, and no one will ever. Cheers. Fucking cheers. Yeah. Cheers to the fucking villain, dude. Yeah. All right, but now we're gonna move on to a bigger villain, even possibly King Crimson. Beelzebub is what some people know him as, and in the court of the Crimson King, we are finally getting into one of the quintessential, early rock concept albums. One of the albums that inspired all of the rock stuff that you probably like. I'm really excited to jump into this one. I didn't know much about it. What about you guys? Are you guys familiar with it? I know Sam, you said that you've talked about it with me before.
Yep. I like this album. Yeah. I do. I think it's a really good album.
Yeah. There's that noodling section in Moonchild that is fun, but we wouldn't blame you if you skipped ahead at some point.
It's true. It's pretty long.
I recommend listening to it all the way through. It's a cool experience. But,
it almost reminds me of Allman Brothers Live, or any of those bands where it's that song, and then it's it's an 18-minute song, but their live version is 28 minutes. All right.
Yeah.
But they just recorded the live version in the studio.
Yeah. I think that's just something that happened back then. I think because Grateful Dead and Eric Clapton would do a lot of noodling. I remember.
That's actually why Cream broke up, or part of the reason why Cream broke up.
Oh, is it too much noodling?
Yeah, because they'd be doing these live shows, and they'd be all trying to all wind up doing like 15-minute solos trying to outdo each other.
Oh, so like the whole set was like one song.
And then Ginger Baker pulls a knife on Jack Bruce, and that's pretty much that.
Yeah, that's pretty much that.
Yeah. No, I mean, when they first discovered like what you could do with a guitar with like electric stuff, like people went a little crazy, I think.
The drugs didn't help.
Yeah. And then the drums just got better and better too. But yeah, this is like an amalgamation of various kind of genres at the time.
I was gonna say, because I've never heard this band. I've never heard any of these songs.
Oh, really?
But this sounds like a million things I've heard from the '60s, and even progressive
honestly,
stuff from the '70s.
That surprises me, John. Usually, like this kind of era, you're like you've already.
I know,
yeah,
and I'll tell you, when I listen to them, Brad.
Yeah.
I can think of like 3 British bands and a couple American bands that all come to mind that probably listened to this, or they listened to them, and it all fed off of each other. But I've never heard of this before. But
well, yeah, it was for me. It was a similar experience to listening to the Who's Tommy, because like you could see like where people drew from, maybe, or where they were going, but like it wasn't quite defined yet. Like, I feel like this is similar. Like, it's at a period where, like, we don't have the breadth of, like, genres yet in rock music. It's all just under the umbrella of, like...
figuring it out. They're all doing their own, like, how about this? This sounds good. This sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting because Tommy came out the same year as In the Court of the Crimson King in 1969.
Yeah. And to talk about that a little bit, like, there's also... they were inspired by Moodie Blues, which we were talking about in '68. In Search of the Secret Chord came out, and then 21st Century Schizoid Man is like, wait, do you guys want to get into that track before we continue talking about this? Because I'm about to make a point about the first track.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, this is 21st Century Schizoid Man. All right, so to continue what I was talking about a little bit, this song came out in '69. Hold on, let me make sure I got that right.
I believe so.
Yeah, '69, and Iron Man came out in 1970. But
I was just about to make a note or say this, that Ozzy did cover this.
Yeah,
I was just reading it.
Yeah.
Ozzy did cover this.
Yeah, that's
which
a good.
means
That's
Ozzy
a good
listened
cover.
to this.
Yeah,
very clearly drew some inspiration for Iron Man.
You think?
Describing.
I don't know. I wonder because, like, I mean, with the way production works, sometimes, like, it's possible he already had parts of Iron Man like already thought up, because that's only a year with production stuff. I mean, you could be right. Like, this does sound like very similar to Iron Man, both in sound and like theme. Like, because I think Iron Man is talking about. Isn't it talking about the robots going to the future or to the past, right? Isn't there time travel involved in Iron Man? I may be mistaken. I can't remember.
Not gonna lie.
I don't know about time travel.
I don't know about
How does the Iron Man
travel.
get to the situation? We'll put in a little record, a zip for me to future me to correct myself currently. Seriously, past Brad, fucking make me do more work. Fucking lyrics for Iron Man. Fucking okay, here we go. Black Sabbath, man. I was in the middle of the mixing, and like just you don't have to. You could plan some of this more of this out, man. Like you could have looked it up right then. All right, so here's the relevant verse here. We got verse 3. He was turned to steel in the great magnetic field when he traveled time for the future of mankind. So, I guess do with that what you will. God damn it! I think we're only allowed one of these per episode. Future me will correct past me on the Iron Man situation, and I will let you know. But no, it does seem like either like Iron Man was directly inspired by, like John was saying, or like it was like really parallel thinking, because it's like I think a lot of people might have been in the same kind of mindset right at this point.
I mean, the album could have dropped, and then they could have been in the studio just like tinkering around and just hearing this, and it was like, holy shit, like,
yeah,
this is really amazing. I mean, it could have been anyone for the band. It could have been Tony or anyone just hearing this. Like, this sound is crazy.
Yeah, it's so weird to me that it also came out at the same time, because I mean, but while this song is very similar, the other songs aren't very similar. Yeah. You know,
it's really just this one on this album that sounds like this.
Yeah, and I think that's the most bizarre thing about this album is like, I think they're just
also, it's their first album. I think they're just trying a lot of stuff. Like they're just playing around with options and like
yeah. But it's like there's a lot of genres that they are messing around with. And you know, there's they describe themselves as well, I don't know if they describe themselves, but you know, they're listed as like jazz fusion for this track. Art rock is some of what I saw. Psychedelic for sure. But there's some of them were actually called just straight up protest songs because they're, you know, about Vietnam. This one's about Vietnam. Like to scale back for a second, the title 21st century schizoid man, it might sound to our ears in 2020 like it's kind of a derogative of schizophrenic, but schizoid is actually its own thing. There is a schizoid personality disorder, which is, I guess, a personality disorder characterized by a lack of interest in social relationships. Kind of, I guess, schizophrenia to a lesser degree. But it was on the minds of people because of Vietnam and people, you know, being, you know, mentally scarred from that and coming home and stuff. And yeah, it's the idea, I think, is that, you know, he thinks that the next 21st century is just going to be full of this kind of stuff, you know, judging by what's happening in the day.
And he wasn't super wrong. Yeah.
No, he wasn't.
He was kind of right.
Yeah. Because now we are in the 21st century. So we are closer to this technically than this song was.
Yeah.
I think it is funny though that this is, you know, 69 and they're already saying 21st century schizoid man, you know?
Yeah.
They knew.
Yeah.
They knew where we were going.
Yeah, well,
the problem is Ozzy did so many drugs he forgot.
I was gonna say they did the brown acid and they saw it,
right?
And they forgot about it.
Yeah. That's what Iron Man did, I think. He did the brown acid. But yeah, this is definitely like somewhat of a, you know, like a lot of music of the time, kind of a response to what was happening in the Vietnam War, there's also an instrumental within this song, which I want to mention in general. There's a lot of instrumental parts that have like titles, apparently. The instrumental in this one was called Mirrors. So, I'm not sure if that's supposed to be like we're as a society in the U.S. like finally looking at ourselves in the mirror, you know, and seeing what's messed up or what, but you know, I think there could be a story to the untitled tracks in just the titles of them, or the instrumental parts that have titles. But there's also Cold War, you know, so you know, nuclear arms are also on the mind. So a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, kind of like today.
A lot of ins, a lot of outs, a lot of what have you.
Exactly.
It's a whole thing.
It's a whole Vietnam War, Cold War, 21st century schizoid man thing. But yeah, I mean they mentioned napalm in here, innocents raped with napalm fire. So yeah, very like they're not even trying to cover it up what they're talking about. They're being pretty straightforward.
Like a clever metaphor. Yeah, no. They're just saying it.
Yeah. Which is
no beating around the bush on this one.
Yeah. It's like shit's fucked up.
Telling it like it is.
Yeah. Shit's really fucked up right now, guys. And then they take a sharp wait. Hold on. What's the next track? The next track is actually the wind one, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. For some reason, Genius keeps on showing me.
I talked to the wind.
Yeah, it keeps on showing me the list for the concise King Crimson, and it's just like that's not what I'm looking. Oh shit! Oh no! Why would I close that, guys? I fucked up.
Just like Mitch McConnell in the House yesterday. Backpedal. We lost Georgia. Backpedal.
All right. I'm back, guys. I just accidentally closed out the Chrome page instead of just pressing back. So we'll just leave all of that in, so that people can think about what they've done
behind the scenes.
Yeah. But yeah, this next song is "I Talk to the Wind."
Or conduct me, just use up my time. I talk to the wind, my word.
Yeah. All right. So it's like
I was a big fan of this song for the record.
Yeah, it's fun.
I like this one too, but what a left turn from that first song.
I know.
Yeah. It's really different.
So I said this album is so beautifully 60s. It's not even funny.
Like we're gonna go from
soft on this.
Yeah, let's make a song that could pass for a Fleetwood Mac song if you didn't.
Let's make you think about springtime and flowers, and pollen in the air. Achoo.
This almost reminded me of this, like something from like the Zombies, like that psychedelic rock, like
yeah, for sure.
It almost would fit in like into Odyssey and Oracle, like it's just this really like almost kind of like a little trippy and.
I said, this is the song that made me think of the Moodie Blues.
I was actually about to say the same thing. Moodie Blues. So there's actually a story there with their production. Wait, Sam, you were saying that they actually had someone from the Moodie Blues on production, right?
So the production of this album started with a producer who was most well known for working with the Moodie Blues. His name was Tony Clark. But the sessions didn't work out, so they got permission from their record company to go and record it independently and do the engineering themselves.
Okay. Well, so part of the reason, though, even regardless of that, it might sound similar to Moodie Blues, is they are using a Mellotron, which is
kind of keyboard.
Yeah, it was one of an earlier keyboard that. I think you could put in different strips of sound, kind of like old school programming where it was like a physical thing.
Like a punch card?
Yeah, it's hard to explain or comprehend. But yeah, it was how, the Moodie Blues got some of the tones and the, feels from their songs as well. So, yeah, it especially the keys sound like Moodie Blues, very much so. I forget, what was the thing that that the keyboardist from the Doors had? That wasn't a Mellotron, was it? That was something else.
It was a Hammond B3.
Hammond organ.
Hammond.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right. Yep. Yeah. There was like there was a couple different keyboards you could go with, but I'm a fan of this Mellotron, honestly. I have recently gotten into Moodie Blues. This year is like my first year listening to Moodie Blues, and like I could not be more thrilled with it. It's fantastic music. If you haven't listened to it already, do yourself a favor and do it, because that's what these guys did before they made this album. So, it's legit.
Yeah, they probably listened to it while they were making this album.
Yeah, and both of those times they were tripping balls. Everyone involved that we've talked about so far, I think, was tripping balls.
Yeah, almost assuredly so.
For a good decade there.
Well, that comes in like 2 songs.
Yeah, and for about
2
16
songs.
minutes straight.
Oh, so much.
I think we're already there, John, actually, if you want to really get technical.
Quick question. Do you think that's why they Gorillaz, do you think that's why he named one of the guys Noodle? Isn't one of the virtual bands named Noodle?
Oh, well, yeah. I think, yeah. Wait.
Noodles.
Yeah, you're right, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just a thought. Random thought of the day. Anyways, go on.
Well, yeah, I'm sure that's what it's supposed to represent, Although I don't know why it's 2D, That one never made sense to me.
Trudy, maybe.
Trudy.
Trudy. I don't know.
But you know what? You guys want to get on to Epitaph?
Yeah.
I thought that Moonchild was next, but I was incorrect. It's Epitaph. So this is Epitaph. Man, that's like to reference one of our previous episodes. That's kind of like the moment in Dogs in Pink Floyd Animals, where it reaches that like giant crescendo. That's just like
builds and then
and just everything
all
just
comes tumbling out.
Yeah.
The dam breaks.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, having heard this, I'm certain the Dogs was trying to kind of call back to this, because Dogs was, I think, Dogs was definitely later. Yeah, what am I talking about?
Yeah, Ummagumma came out this year.
Yeah.
Here's this.
Oh man, yeah. So Ummagumma came out, and then Pink Floyd's like, "Wait a minute, that sounds crazy."
Yeah.
And then they're like, let's do that. Which is pretty much what every cool band that you like back then did, is they listened to this, which was, we should mention the story though, how they kind of got their infamy. They were playing, and, doing stuff at the time that Rolling Stones was popular, or at least, popular enough. And they opened for the Rolling Stones in July 1969. And during that show, they were in front of like 500,000 people, apparently. And they played like this album in the Court of the Crimson King and, the stuff around this. And that's part of like what rocketed them into kind of notoriety for the music lovers at the time.
I mean, opening for the Stones will do that for you.
Yeah. And I can just imagine seeing this, not knowing anything about the band before it happened, just being like, whoa, what is this?
There's always been a handful like opening bands that it's great when they like surprise you. Like you had no idea who they are. Like they're actually better than the band I came to see. Like there's always like a few bands that always surprised me in the past.
It's pretty rare, but when it happens, it's like, whoa! Like I paid for the band at the end, but like I'm way more excited about this.
Yeah.
There's always a joke like, they're just opening. You don't need to catch that. But there's always been a couple that just blow me away.
That's true. Yeah, you gotta appreciate your openers, people. Get to those shows on time.
Yeah.
Check out their merch table.
Just remember, every time you go to a concert and there's a cool opener, you never know who's going to be the next, Rolling Stones or some shit.
So buy as much.
Groundbreaking band.
Yeah.
I never said that, but, use your own judgment.
Yeah.
America, everybody. The good parts.
Yeah, those good parts. Yeah. Oh, I don't think we talked about the lyrics very much in the last track. I just wanted to mention what was it? And one of the last verses he said the straight man to the late man, where have you been? And then the late man says, I've been here and I've been there and I've been in between. And I think it's a good representation of like kind of the cultural transition that's taking place in the United States at this point. And getting into this song we just listened to, Epitaph, like it's the kind of it's in a way this is like the end of some of our American myths with Vietnam. You know what I mean? It's the point where we as a society in America start to question the imperialism stuff that we're doing. And I think that's what Epitaph is kind of getting at, like especially in the Cold War and seeing the nuclear, capabilities, of course, demonstrated like in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So yeah, a lot of heavy stuff happening in the first half of this album. Like they're getting right to the core of things, So I can see why it was such a big hit so quickly. I mean, this must have like really resonated with people on a deep level if they had someone close to them that was in Vietnam.
Yeah, I'm trying to see how high it got on the charts because I know people always kind of talk about it being an underground album, but it reached number 5 on the UK albums chart and number 28 on the US Billboard 200. So it was pretty well known. It was well received and commercially successful.
Uh-huh. It's always pretty awesome to see like a band's first album make such a splash. Like instead of like their second, third, and like, oh, I'll get in this band now. Check it out. When that first album is just so killer and amazing.
They just knock it out of the park on the first try. It's so cool because like they really haven't had anyone to edit them as much, So you get a really unadulterated, like unfiltered version of their ideas and sound.
Yeah, definitely. Like this is like the idea that like this stuff is the kind of stuff they were creating with like not a very big audience is like pretty astounding because it's just like it seems like this is something that takes so much work to put together. For
one of the one of the cool things about it too is that it's like you just said like it was like a number top 10 album in like the UK, but it was like a top 30 album here. Yeah. So here it's like known to your, especially to your music aficionados, like the people that listened to it and went and got famous or helped, music in any way. Yeah. But to us, it's just a top 30 album. People we know liked it, people we listen to liked it. Yeah. But I bet if you talk to some people in Britain in particular,
Well, yeah, I'm sure that some of
I bet they have a whole different opinion on what.
Well, yeah, because I think that's where the concert occurred too. So I mean, yeah, I think that they were definitely turned on to this idea a lot sooner, than always than their U.S. counterparts.
Well, actually, it's kind of like how we were talking about the Zombies earlier, right?
Yeah.
Well, they had that one big hit. It's the time of the season in America, and they had some other minor hits too here.
Yeah.
But over in Europe, they were like a huge band, but they never really got anything big here. And then they did Time of the Season, and then they broke up in Britain, and that's when it got big over here. So it's like the one big song we know the Zombies for was released in America after they had already like officially broken up in Britain.
Oh man, that's too bad. Yeah, no, like we were. I feel like we go up and down with that in the U.S. Like sometimes, like in the like 2000s or whatever, we were like the leaders of like pop music, but like there are times where like Britain's the leader, or like Japan had some cool stuff.
In the
like
60s, the
but
Brits
we always.
had us.
We
in
always,
the 70s, we did it. In the 80s, the Brits did it.
Yeah.
In the 90s, we kind of split. I'd like to give it all to us, but
I was going to say though,
really
like
took a lot of attention there.
People tend though to like oversimplify it and say like rock and roll is an American thing or something, and it's just like it's so much bigger than the U.S. and Britain even, but.
It's everywhere and for everyone.
It's for everyone, guys.
Damn right.
Yeah.
In 1986 at the Grammys, man, that was like the only year that all the best new artists were like British bands. That was like the second British wave.
Well, I was going to actually talk about that in Pink Floyd. So me and Reese were talking about Reese from Side B, which you can find at or patreon.com/flyover state park. He was talking about, the fact that, I don't know, we are seeing some of the kind of stuff happen right now in the U.S. that, like, people from Britain were singing about during, like, Margaret Thatcher times, Like Pink Floyd's like Animals and The Wall are talking about the rise of authoritarianism and the rise of what they, fascism in their home country, where they fought to stop that kind of thing. So they were experiencing that at that time in a very visceral way, which is why I think some of the British music from that time is so good and so relevant. It's why Pink Floyd, I think, pivoted to sing about that kind of stuff more often. But yeah, like some of the stuff that's happening in the U.S. right now with such as the storming of the Capitol stuff, it is kind of, I think, resonating with a lot of people here that that rise of authoritarianism, that rise of open fascist ideas. And I'm sure that there, Ireland and Britain and countries like that are looking at us like, oh, I remember going through this, judging by the music from back then. But yeah, it was just an interesting conversation though about how, that impacted a lot of the music of the time.
Well, it's a whole bleed off thing. It's really like if you look at slavery as an official legal issue too,
Europe, just a legal issue.
Slavery and racism. Okay, racism's always a thing, right? But Europe, most of the countries in Europe made slavery illegal 50 years before we ever did.
Oh yeah,
in America.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just kind of a bleed off culture thing because we are a direct baby of European culture.
Well, and
we're just a little bit behind on some of the things.
Well, and we're arrogant, in the sense that we're
arrogant.
We are we're a young country, and we don't acknowledge that a whole lot, but we're a pretty young country if you really want to look at the numbers, guys.
We're extremely young.
Yeah,
so
even
remember, Rome lasted 1,000 years, and we're breaking up after did we hit 200? No.
Well, hold up. It's not over. It's not quite over yet.
It's not over yet, but
it's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not good.
I don't know if we're gonna make it 1,000 years, Brad. Rome lasted 1,000 years.
I don't know, man. Let's just not think 1,000 years ahead. Let's just worry about the next 10 or something. I don't even want to worry about the next 1,000.
The next year.
Yeah.
Jesus.
We'll do that. We'll deal with that when we get to Deltron 3030. All right. So, then we'll talk about the year 3, the 31st century. Would that be? 31st, 30th? Yeah. I don't know. Maths. But What were you saying, Dave?
Just comparing things in time frame. Like when I went to Italy a while back, and just looking at like buildings are now apartment buildings, or like just certain doors, or going through tours, and like everything you're seeing is just physically older than the U.S. in general. I'm like, God, this door.
Oh yeah,
it's older than
I know.
Like it's just mind blowing. Like
I know
how much is that, but that it's still there and exists and looks amazing. Like this is incredible. Like,
well, I think everyone in the U.S. that is like maybe under a certain money bracket should get one free vacation to somewhere older than the U.S. Anywhere really. Because, like, just the idea that you could see that, oh, this society's been around for so much longer than my society, and it's doing fine in whatever way it's doing it, or whatever. You know, just the perspective of that is very, very important. Because, I mean, I know that's kind of a luxury for some people. Not everyone can get outside of the country, but, you know, when I got outside of the country for the first time, it was like, oh, you can do things completely differently. And everyone is, you know, it's not perfect, but everyone's okay. But yeah, good perspective to have, people, even if you can't, like, just learn about other cultures, goddammit. Sorry, there's a lot of horrible stuff happening right now, and I just want to encourage you guys to open your minds. Because, this song's called Epitaph, but I feel like we're feeling this pretty clearly right now. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's, you know, the idea that, you know, democracy is under attack seems like a very turning point kind of thing. Yeah, still broken. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because this is 50 years ago. So, yeah. It's relevant today, then we haven't made enough progress, guys. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break, though, before we get into the second half of this album. And, what you have waiting for you on the other side is Moonchild. We've teased it, but you're going to get it after the break.
This is Reese.
And this is Nate.
From Side B.
And you're listening to the Album Concept Hour.
Welcome, everybody, to the Album Concept Hour, the second half of the podcast, where we get into the second half of the album. But before we do that, we sometimes like to get into a little section that we call, What is Dave Drinking? All right, Dave. What are you drinking today, Dave?
My friend in Ohio had a crowler of Don Chaletta, a bourbon barrel-aged imperial milk stout with lactose and spices.
Ooh, you know what? I think that's what I'm going to do next week. Imperial milk stout, if I can find like a 6-pack. But yeah, I love that flavor. You did a lot of stouts for Beer Miss that we had over the weekend. We had a Zoom Beer Miss. Dave likes to get some friends together to drink out of his vast cellar of beers. But this time we had to. He gave us all samples of 5 different beers.
Actually, I haven't tossed out the bottles yet, so I still had
tight.
The sweet stout.
The sweet stout. Yep. That was really good.
Jewels.
Oh yeah, that's right. So you've been teasing the Run the Jewels beer for a long time, but we never got a chance to drink it in person together.
In the studio, and I just got time. Like, I think. Yeah. I'll give you a sample. We'll enjoy it finally.
It's the Christmas one. They have several, and it was very good, very good. But yeah, a lot of good beers at the Beer Miss. I got very drunk.
Brad, what are you drinking?
What am I drinking? Well, I got. I can't find the can for it, but I got the Cutwater. I got the Cutwater margarita with lime.
How's the Cutwater treating you?
Pretty good. I'm a fan of tequila. I don't drink it very often, but it's one of my favorite alcohols.
Nice.
And then of course I got my old standard Hopalicious. I'm always sipping on some Hopalicious. And the last of my 60-minute IPAs. So, by Dogfish Head. So, you know I love my IPAs. What about you, Sam? You sipping on anything tonight?
I'm not.
You don't have to be.
Just some water.
All right. Some H2O, you know?
Yeah.
Got to hydrate.
Hydration is key.
In fact, I'm going to take a sip of that.
Yep.
There's a podcast, the MCU podcast that does a trivia night where they say, "Hail Hydrate." We can't say that, of course, because it's their thing, but it's fun. What about you, John? What are you sipping on? What are you sipping on tonight?
Oh, just a little vodka and root beer.
Oh, okay.
I haven't drank since like New Year's. So
Okay.
Figured for tonight I could have a little vodka and root beer.
Yeah. Like mixed together, or like root beer is a chaser for it?
Root beer is the chaser.
Okay. Nice. I was just watching a YouTube video where a dude was going through all of the cheapest vodkas and tasting them one by one to see which one was the best. I forget which one was the best, but I don't.
Brad, that's information I know.
Like to know. I started telling the story about the vodka, and there was no resolution whatsoever. So, sorry.
Well, there's not much difference between cheap vodkas. So
yeah. I think there was
but
one that stood
surprisingly
out.
enough, though, root beer is a good mixture with vodka.
I've never tried
weird,
it. I've never tried root beer with anything.
I've tried a
I will say
whole
that is
different.
shocking.
And there are ones that are really good. Obviously, those are the ones you get at the bar, like lemonade and 7-Up and Sprite. And
Yeah.
Citrusy.
The staples.
But root beer is not one of the worst. And actually, root beer and like whiskey's actually pretty good too.
Ooh, actually, that does sound like it'd be good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
My
try
grandma
that.
used to do, like, I think it was vodka and Pepsi. I found out like a while back. I'm like, I remember visiting, like, wait, what are you drinking? That's a thing?
Pepsi, huh?
Well, you know what's not a
even
good combination? Vodka and root beer, or not root beer. Vodka and Mountain Dew. All that caffeine, just like it's
God.
It's like you feel like weird because you're like dragged down by the vodka, but the Mountain Dew's like wow.
It's like a cherry bomb almost, but instead of Red Bull, it's Mountain Dew.
Red Bull and vodka.
Yeah.
Even hearing you describe that drink makes my stomach hurt.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
Yeah, I'm not much of a vodka guy myself.
I'm not 30 yet, so once I'm in my 30s, my stomach will hurt.
Yeah, I'm 31. My stomach hurts.
Yeah. I was gonna say my stomach started hurting. 24, I think, is when that started for me. But that was because I was drinking like 2 Monsters a day to try to keep up with Sean, aka Big Chain. I saw Big Chain doing it. I was like, I could do that. But Big Chain's stomach is made of, I think, either Mandalorian,
rock or concrete, or
remember,
I was thinking maybe
too,
Mandalorian armor.
They have the monies. They have the monies to fix themselves if such problems occur.
Well, I mean, that's true. Big Chain is a robot. We should have mentioned that probably at some point. He is a robot, perhaps cyborg. I'm assuming he replaced
Monster
his parts.
is his coolant.
Yeah. It acts as some sort of a coolant, and when he, something gets like worn down, he just gets it replaced. So, yeah. Another plug for Big Chain, who we will eventually have as a secret guest. But yeah, that has been What Is Dave Drinking? When we have Sean on, it'll be we'll ask what he's drinking, and it will be Monster. All right.
Biggest can you can buy.
yes. The what do they call that? The one with the lid on it. But yeah, let's get back to this King Crimson, a time before energy drinks. This is the next track of the album is called Moonchild.
Back with the original drink, the energy drink. Okay.
Yeah, it was the OG energy drink, which was
actual cocaine and coffee.
Yes, actual cocaine. And then the cocaine became illegal, and they're like, "Well, we got to make something like that, right?"
Just put the cocaine back in the Coke, like the Coca-Cola. Just
original recipe.
We'll all drink Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Solve the obesity problem.
All right, well, this is Moonchild. It is an expansive track that they made.
Yes.
Playing hide and seek with the ghosts of dawn, waiting for a smile from a sunchild.
Yeah.
You know, I tell you, I think we've already brought up gorillas on this podcast, but I really think that who's the singer? Who's the singer for Gorillaz again?
Damon Albarn.
Damon Albarn.
2D.
I really think Damon Albarn was listening to this album.
Oh, for sure.
Most definitely.
I really believe that.
100%.
Yeah, I think he's pretty well versed on British acts in general. Like, he's had some of them on his stuff. Speaking of which, they finally came out with like a music video that like completed the Plastic Beach arc. It was, I mean, I'm a big fan of Plastic Beach. We just did the episode recently, but it was. I was pretty surprised by it. So yeah, it's from the Song Machine, but check it out if you like Plastic Beach. But yeah, Damon Albarn definitely enjoyed this kind of stuff, this kind of production, like this very 2D, like solo song, you know, at least the first 3 minutes of this song.
The Mellotron is on full display in this song too.
Yes.
It's really, really front and center.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think that this is we're going to focus on the first like 3 minutes first, and then we'll talk about the rest of it. But yeah, like this first like 3 minutes is a really like almost like an ELO kind of you know, drop into kind of some melancholy stuff. And what I really enjoyed was that it's supposedly from the perspective of the moon. Like Moonchild is supposed to, you know, according to some of these notes, is supposed to be literally the moon, like looking down on the world and like trying to understand it or something. I don't know. But yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. The idea of personifying the moon like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely outside the norm, especially from that era.
Yeah.
Most songs were pretty straightforward before this kind of...
That was kind of the definition of pop music before this era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably just pagans anyways.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you hear the term like Moonchild or Sunchild, but it's usually like in reference to a hippie person saying that they are that, you know,
or they named their child that,
or they named their child that. But yeah, this is it's a very like simple, like almost a playful kind of tune. But lonely, you know, the loneliness is definitely still there, you know, because there's no one at nighttime to play with. But yeah, I enjoyed this first 3 minutes of the song. It's a nice, it's probably the most concise 3 minutes of the whole record, I think. Because the first song, 21st Century Schizoid Man, like if you have heard it on the radio, it has a large section taken out. So, you know, you're only hearing like the 3 or 4 minute, maybe 5 minute version of that.
Yeah, the shortened edit without a lot of the more solo driven sections.
Yeah. Like this 3 minutes, I think in itself could be like a hit, but like the second or third hit that comes out of an album. You know what I mean? Like this wouldn't be the first hit that you threw out, but like, you know,
the rest of the song though.
Yeah, but then
that's not it.
Then there's the rest of the song, which is like it's a jam. It's a noodly jam where they're just kind of, you know, keeping it going for another 10 minutes or something.
It's a little esoteric.
Yeah, it seems very strange, I think, from our perspectives, because it is just, I mean, I'm sure it sounded really cool, like to even, just them noodling around, hearing the different instruments in the different channels of your headphones or whatever. And I'm sure acid helped.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this could be like it's definitely them like improvising and just kind of jamming on the spot, and just capturing that, which I think it is. This section of the song is called "The Illusion," so I mean, I think they're almost like critiquing themselves in the sense that like this part of the song is kind of not a song per se in a lot of parts. It's like, just kind of trying to, it's almost like someone figuring out instruments for the first time, or, walking into a band room and just picking up stuff and doing things,
Yeah. Sort of like
exploring the rooms and options.
Yeah. I feel
like a primitive person discovering rhythm, kind of.
Yeah. It gets kind of back to the Moonchild, like sound near the end of the song again. But yeah, there's a good 8 minutes of just kind of noodling around. Yeah.
Some people really enjoy that. It's actually a pretty well-reviewed part of the album. For the circles that enjoy that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I know it's not particularly my cup of tea, if I'm being super honest, but
it just goes on a while.
Yeah.
It's very atmospheric, and I'm glad they left it in as it's like a historical kind of like marker,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that when it got to 3 minutes of that, I was like, how long is this track?
It's like computer sounds, but when they actually had to use instruments.
Yeah, I'm sure if you saw this live, it's probably freaking crazy, But yeah, the next.
Hey, listen to this. Bing.
Bing. I forget. So
Man,
I don't.
That was so cool.
I don't know much about Frank Zappa, but does Frank Zappa have any tracks that are kind of like this?
Sure he does.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the most prolific recording artists of all time.
Yeah.
He's got so many albums. I haven't heard all of them. Okay. I'm sure that there's something like this tucked away somewhere.
And was he from jazz? Was he an appreciator of jazz too?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So they probably come from a similar school of thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He considered himself a composer.
Okay.
My dad saw him live in the mid 70s, and he said that when someone in the band would make a mistake during Frank Zappa's live show, he would stop the song, go over, talk to them about the mistake, and then start the song over.
Oh, damn. So he was
did you know that Frank Zappa hated drugs?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh.
He would kick people out of his band for doing drugs.
Wow. Yeah. He was a straight edge.
Yep.
Who knew?
One of the first.
If you messed up and you got a talking to during a track, I mean, hell. If you're on drugs, you're probably messing up a lot of.
He was like messed up in his head. He didn't need drugs.
It's funny because it's like there's so many people that do drugs that love Frank Zappa.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I've listened. Nick, you've met Nick, Brad. Nick played a 15-minute song from Frank Zappa that was like half of it was like hog noises.
Yeah.
And he played it at the bar one time. He played it when we were bowling at Schwegler's. He played it once, and they got the song banned from the jukebox.
Hey man,
forever.
It was their fault for putting it in the jukebox in the first place.
Yeah.
That's what Nick said.
That's hilarious. All right, you guys want to get on to the final track of this album? There's only one more. And it is the not the titular track. It's almost the titular track.
Not the tit.
But it is The Court of the Crimson King.
The purple piper plays his tune, the choir softly sing 3 lullabies in an ancient tongue for the court of the crimson king.
You know what I love about this song is that it really reminds me of the era again, because it's like Cream. You know, Cream came out with the song Great Ulysses.
Yeah.
You know, and stuff like that. It's like it really just like shows that at the time European culture was still into was really, even their songs were into exploring their ancient cultures.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
This is about
European ancient culture.
I mean, this is about when Led Zeppelin 2 came out too, and that whole album, well, not the whole album, but quite a bit of that album about Lord of the Rings and the same type of themes. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, there was I mean, it wasn't like a big rise in paganism, but like there was definitely like, you know, going back to those like things that like predated like, you know, Christian mythology in Europe, you know, and trying to bring that into the music as well. And this is, you know, Crimson King, like I was saying earlier, is supposed to be, I guess, in historically Beelzebub, which is like, you know, one of, not Satan necessarily, but is like one of his top dudes. And I think the whole naming of their band and the whole Court of the Crimson King idea is supposed to be kind of the, I guess, last hurrahs of imperialism, you know, open imperialism, I guess. And I think that's what they're kind of focusing on thematically here. Because there's two sections here. There's the Return of the Fire Witch and the Dance of the Puppets. Those are the two instrumental sections. And I think the Return of the Fire Witch is either talking about nuclear war or like napalm in like Vietnam, you know. But yeah, a lot of stuff happening. This is a song that like a lot of stuff is talked about. Like it is probably more dense lyrically than any other song on the album.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
This I think it's a great way to wrap up the album too. Like it does. It doesn't necessarily go out on a positive note, but it really does feel thematically like well rounded out by this track.
You feel good about the story.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
it's got a strong conclusion.
Yeah,
that's important.
Yeah, like this song isn't like some concept albums where it's like a story being told start to finish. This is more of them kind of capturing a moment in time, and some of the emotions going with that moment in time. Because I mean, you could say like, so all the instrumental sections, you have Mirrors, and then in track 3, March for No Reason, which I think really kind of just the title of that kind of shows kind of how they think about some of the things happening, especially militarily, you know, having no actual purpose behind what they're doing. And then the third instrumental is Tomorrow and Tomorrow. The fourth instrumental is The Dream, and the fifth one's The Illusion. And then this song has the sixth and seventh instrumentals, which I said earlier were Return of the Fire Witch and The Dance of the Puppets. And I did find it interesting that they do title all of the instrumental sections like that, which seem to be like not necessarily in line with the like album itself, you know? What do you guys think of that? The fact that they've titled all these instrumental sections.
It is what it is, Brad. It's literally a composition, man.
Yeah,
it's like classical music.
It's an orchestral arrangement.
Yeah.
It's a rock orchestral arrangement.
That's fair.
It's literally like have any of you guys ever listened to Blood, Sweat, and Tears?
Yeah.
The album, like From Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Yeah.
That's a great album.
Yeah.
Because it's half instrumental. It's rock meets instrumental. It's rock meets orchestral. And I love that. It's what I love about the 70s. Well, 70s was this whole generation of people that like grew up listening to orchestral music and then played rock music and were like, hey, let's merge it.
Yes.
Beautiful stuff.
Yes is so good.
Yeah, I guess it goes back to kind of what Dave was saying. Like he was trying to be I think Sam was saying it, but he was trying to be like a composer.
Yeah.
And
a lot of these guys both had a classical background and thought of themselves that way.
Yeah.
You can hear it in like the DNA of this album. There's a lot of like classical sort of leaning stuff. I mean, the use of flutes and violins is pretty heavy throughout this album.
Yeah. The flute, there's like a person playing like the flute in the second track, I Talk to the Wind. And I think that this flute solo in this track is kind of a callback to that character, maybe. Because I think they talk about the Purple Piper plays his tune. And that's when they're using the flute again. But yeah, it's a really nice, like kind of flowery kind of end where it's like maybe like I don't know if it's like a jester or a narrator type that's like kind of filling in the audience with how things went in the end, you know?
Almost like the chorus in a Greek play, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And
good old Greek play.
And it changes from I Talk to the Wind, which is the track 2 where he's kind of getting into I don't know, just kind of being hopeful and putting out a good energy. And in this track he says I chase the wind. So I don't know if this song is supposed to be like connected to I Talk to the Wind, but I don't know if maybe chasing the wind is supposed to be like pursuing that goodness that he was putting out, and I Talk to the Wind, but I don't know. There's a lot of. I feel like I need to almost do this breakdown again because I feel like I'm realizing stuff as I'm listening to it every single time. You know.
Touching that tip of that iceberg.
Yeah,
this is what good music does.
Yeah, this is definitely an album
for everybody out there. By the way, that's what good music does.
Yes,
that's what we're trying to get at.
That's what good media
all the
does.
Stuff that we do, all the genres that we cover.
Yeah, good movies, good music, good. You know, if you can watch or listen to something and you get something new out of it, like every single time, like that's good stuff. You know. This is definitely an album I think I'll be revisiting a lot. Like this is, I'm going to definitely move on to the next King Crimson album. But
you know what I like about this album is the same thing that I like when I listen to a good Lou Reed album.
Okay.
Is that it's not that especially in America, coming from America, is that it's not that everybody you know loves this album, but it's that everybody you know listens to a person that listened to that album. You know,
yeah.
That's like Lou Reed. That's one of Lou Reed's legacies is that it's not that we've all listened to Lou Reed albums, but it's that everybody that we listened to in the last like 30 years has listened to a Lou Reed album and was like, hey,
it's true.
Something on that was cool.
Something that sounded really good to me.
That's almost a joke on like the Velvet Underground, like it was poorly received, but everyone who bought the album like started a band.
Yep.
John Cale, Lou Reed, like.
Yeah. There's some bands that do
Marine
that.
Trucker,
you know,
trucks,
I don't know if it's just because they like don't play the industry game or something. Like they're so focused on the music maybe that they don't like worry about the marketing and like, you know, getting themselves out there as big. Because like, you know, that's the thing. Like even if you have like good art, like you do have to have that it pushed out to people.
It's gotta sell. It's very American concept, but it's gotta sell.
Yeah.
You have a good agent, good manager. You got to get touring. You got to have a plan.
You gotta tour, and you gotta tour.
And when you finish, you got to start again. You got to make another album or 2 or 3.
That's what ABBA. That's literally what ABBA hated about America.
Yeah, well,
you have to tour.
Well, yeah, and I think that's. Sorry, go on, Sam.
The Velvet Underground were actually really smart about putting themselves out there that way because they ended up getting Andy Warhol to manage them for a time, and so
they were his house band, weren't they?
Yeah, but he also managed them for like 2 years during that period. And during that time is when they really, like, their rise really started. And Lou Reed and John Cale in particular kind of started to, like, break away from the band a little bit and start to think more in terms of solo work. But if it wasn't for it, like, kind of falling in Andy Warhol's orbit, we might never have heard of them because, you know, they wouldn't have been put out there as much.
And it worked out for them because there wasn't any mold. They weren't had like for a record label or anything. They weren't have to like stick to something. They're just he's like, yeah, well, make music. I don't know, do something. What do you want to do? It was just they were able to be very creative in that space.
Wow.
And
that's so cool. Yeah.
And Lou Reed gets lucky like that a few times in his life, like having
David Bowie
to produce Transformer Man. I mean, he's all over that thing. His background vocals are on all the best songs, and you can hear it. It's Bowie. Like, he's not really trying to hide it at all. And the production on it's incredible.
Well, that's the best part.
Yeah,
they weren't trying to hide it. It wasn't about secrecy. It was about, I'm helping my friend. I like what he's doing. I'm going to help him out.
And that's the thing. I just, that's something that I learned about that album after I'd been listening to it for like 4 years. And someone's like, that's Bowie on there, right? And then like all this
dude,
and it's all you can hear.
The VH1 series, classic albums, that's why I love that series.
Yeah.
That's where I learned a lot about Transformer. That's where I learned about Rumors. That's where I learned about Golden Road.
And that was one of the albums.
Yeah, Yellow Brick Road,
Goodbye, Yellow
Brick Road.
Yeah.
And that was one of the albums, Transformer, that I got handed down from me and my brother, both to the military. He just left all his records at home. I remember like just going through them and like Transformer was one of them, and like 7 and 8, and like popping that record on. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
is happening?
So wait, was your brother that like recommended a lot of music? Was he the one that went into the military?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't know.
And he left all when he left all his records, and eventually like I just kept moving around and I kept them, and he got to the point of like, they're yours. Like I don't even, like, you take care of them, enjoy them.
Kind of like
Almost Famous.
Almost Famous, yeah.
Well, I have a military older brother too, so I relate to that. Yeah. I mean,
being like the little kid, 7 and 8, and like having friends and like playing them like Iron Maiden, playing them like Dead Milkmen, playing them Lou Reed. Weird shit.
We still got to get your brother on at some point in the future.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's becoming a white whale of sorts for me. Just from all the stories that I've heard, because I don't want to shit on my older brothers, but like I was kind of the older brother that like gave the music to the younger brothers. So, my I will say Scott, he was into Daft Punk before anyone was. He was into Beastie Boys when I was younger. So I mean, Scott was definitely ahead of me in a few things. But for the most part, like I kind of did my own thing with music, and I didn't discover some of these really cool things until like literally this podcast. So I didn't have that person necessarily. Like my older brother, like that went to the military, wasn't the music guy necessarily. But
I would say one of my few music regrets was 94. I had some friends from school there that saw Beastie Boys on tour, and like, that sounds awesome. I completely missed that. I was like,
yeah. After
that, I'm like, I don't even care anymore. Like, I missed the bus on probably one of the best shows ever.
So is that why you go to so many shows then? because you don't want to.
There's been a couple that
you don't want to miss.
I'm still kicking myself for missing, and
it stings when you miss an incredible show.
Yeah,
yeah.
Gone. Like it
hurts.
It's a deep burn.
I filled in for Sam for an Animal Collective show, and we could not talk about it for a while.
Yeah, I'm still mad about that.
Actually, wait, Dave was there. Wait a minute. Weren't you at the Animal Collective show, Dave?
I might have been.
Oh my God. I think that I filled in and never mind. I forget. But yeah, that really sucks though
right
when that happens.
ACD, wasn't it?
I think it was early on. Yeah.
I saw you at a Pixies show once.
Oh,
Dave.
You know what? I'm thinking of the Pixies. That's what I'm thinking of. Animal Collective, I was in an altered state. So
I might have ran into you after that.
Possibly, yes. I watched the Pixies and watched.
Just see Ween and run into some friends after seeing Ween a few times. That was actually pretty entertaining.
I'm so jealous that you've seen Ween.
Oh, you haven't seen Ween, Sam?
No,
you love Ween.
I was supposed to go a couple years ago and it fell through, and I'm.
Oh no!
I'm still.
I think I saw. I think it was the Orpheum,
Oh,
04 maybe 05. I'm not sure.
That'd be a good show. Yeah. That sounds like fun.
Well, depending if Diener is sober enough.
Oh, they were both. This is before they broke up, but they did a fantastic show. I mean, they're both on point for sure. There wasn't any downtime or nothing seemed odd. It was a killer show.
Oh man, the Mollusk is literally one of my desert island.
Oh, I love that. Album.
Yeah,
it's so good, and my coworkers think I am the weirdest human alive every time I play it.
Well, they have a wide range, that band. Like they go all over the goddamn place.
That's their thing, man.
Yeah.
Dude, wasn't the Pizza Hut commercial they did the song for?
Where does the
There's a
where is the cheese, man? Or where does
the cheese go?
Yeah,
oh my God.
Where did the cheese go?
Oh my God.
That's right. I'll send you a link to it.
That's fucking crazy.
It's
But yeah, the Mollusk.
Pizza was no, we're not doing that.
Yeah. So then, because Pizza Hut rejected it, but they had already taken the money, Pizza Hut kept requesting new tapes from them, so they would just send them unlistenable gibberish, just again and again.
Oh my God. When we do the Mollusk episode, we need to dive into that whole fucking story. That sounds amazing.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
It's very Ween.
Oh my God. That's fucking hilarious. But before we get out of here though, guys, we're already kind of talking about it, but we're going to get into what have we been listening to lately. So I'll go with you, Sam, first. Yeah.
Sure.
Let's go with Sam.
I have been listening to, let's see. Honestly, I've been listening to a lot of Conan O'Brien's podcasts.
Oh, really? How is that?
They're both, well, he's in one, and then there's one about him. And
Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, right?
Yep.
And then
I think it's some really interesting interviews with people he's had on his show.
Yeah.
But music wise, a lot of MF Doom, obviously.
Yep. All right.
There's this hip hop album that came out this last year called Burden of Proof by this guy, Benny the Butcher. I think it's really, really good.
Dude, Benny the Butcher was on Teamu Denku's album, who I mentioned earlier in this episode.
Yeah. I think this album slaps, as the kids say.
Okay.
It's really good.
Yeah. No, Benny the Butcher, from what I've not heard a lot, but I've heard him in some tracks, and he's fucking good.
There's this in a completely different direction. There's Rush. I think they're Belarusian post-punk band called Molchat Doma.
Okay.
They made an album 2 years ago, and when I first heard some tracks off of it, I legitimately thought it was made in Soviet Russia in 1980. It's
nice.
A pretty fun look at post-punk. So yeah, I would say that's what I've been listening to lately.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good list, man. I'm actually gonna have to listen back to this. And it's Milos.
Yep.
Speaking of Russia, it's Milos.
Yeah, you heard me speaking of the motherland.
Yes, Milos loves motherland. It is Milos's cat.
He looks so judgy.
He's got opinions.
From the motherland.
He's opinionated. You know what I mean?
He drinks vodka straight from the bottle.
He saw the Germans march into Leningrad. He has seen things you cannot believe.
He's done things you could not believe.
He has lived through what the Geneva Convention refers to as war crimes.
You can see it in his eyes.
I know Mulder misses Milos. Milos was like Mulder's teacher almost. Like Mulder still bats at things like a cat because of Milos.
He's pretty much the best cat on the planet.
He's pretty fucking rad. He's pretty rad. You know, I even forgive you for pissing on my guitar case.
Yeah, he did that for a while.
Yeah, it's his territory. You know, he's got to mark it. You know.
Yeah, he's a good cat.
I do miss Milos. He was a cool. He's a cat that's pretty much like a dog. He's like very chill cat.
Yeah.
But what about you, John? Though, what have you been listening to?
I've been listening to a lot of the new Killers stuff, especially.
Cool! You dived into that. Nice.
So it's actually pretty good. And it's holding up compared to some of the last stuff.
Yeah.
Tune in. We'll be doing Sam's Town soon.
Yes, it is coming up.
Otherwise, I've been watching. I know I'm late to the party on this one, but I've been watching a lot of Schitt's Creek. And it is fucking hysterical.
I heard that's very good.
So tune in to watch Eugene Levy and his son and Moira McTaggart, the mom from Home Alone, and just to fucking prepare to die of laughter.
I would agree. That show is really funny.
It's so stupid. This rich couple, really great. This rich family gets to live in this poor town, and they have to make the best of it. It's fucking hysterical.
I've always loved Catherine O'Hara, especially in all the Christopher Guest movies.
Yeah,
she's fantastic.
Yeah,
well, that's why they're doing it. Eugene and Catherine were on SCTV for years. You know, that's why it works so well. It's great.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's really cool.
Yeah. They were on SCTV with John Candy for years together, man.
Wow.
Best in Show, and then
oh yeah.
I'm trying to think of all the ones they were in together. Like as a couple. Mighty Wind. There was the couple pretty much too. They just played off. They played well together.
Why do you think Moira and John work so well in Home Alone? Those two worked together for years.
Oh yeah.
They could play off each other like nobody's business.
And John Candy was in the second Home Alone.
First.
No,
was that the first one?
Well, that's why I'm bringing it up.
He was the polka band. And they drove her back.
Polka.
Those two always merge for me in my brain.
One had a talk boy. One didn't.
Although one, there's like a scene missing. There's like he walks into a store and there's supposed to be some kind of rich guy, but it's gone from my brain.
No, it's a hotel.
Oh, it's a hotel.
And it says cut scene, and then it goes right back to him walking around.
Yeah. It's just
one
blank
rich dude points
in my mind.
Direction, correct?
Yeah. I think it's some guy that's going to be in prison, something like that.
His name on all these buildings.
So.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe.
But what about you, Dave? What have you been listening to?
Again, probably the third or fourth week straight. Beastie Boys, but again, topping my listening. I've just been on a kick I cannot get out of.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because of that, also there's another band I just came across a couple nights ago. People Under the Stairs.
Okay.
Oh,
their one track was it Acid Raindrops, and I literally cannot stop listening to that one track. It's really, really, really good.
Nice.
And then after that, I got my last 3 record cubes that I built with Nick, and I rearranged all my records again. So I have, I think, 12 of them. So I had to go and, again, rearrange everything and start pulling things. So I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot I had this album. And started, making a list of like what I want to start listening to again, because I came across shit I bought that I forgot I listened. I even one I haven't opened yet. The soundtrack for Into the Dragon. I forgot I had that.
Okay.
Also, Big Brother Holding Company. I forgot I picked a copy of that up. I also forgot I picked up a copy of Uma Guma. Just random shit. Like I just need to start listening to stuff again.
Yeah. Oh, nice. So you've been going through all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of things.
Hell yeah. I've actually been going through a lot of different music because I put together last night the Album Concept Hour Discord playlist, which I mentioned earlier. So, if you look up TAHCP, the Album Concept, TACHP, the Concept Hour podcast. Yes. And if you go to that, we're just gonna put a link in the description, so you don't have to follow whatever weird description I'm making. But we have a playlist. It has everyone's top 5 Desert Island. A couple songs from each of the Desert Island albums. And I did want to also plug another playlist right now. It is the Frank Sinatra After Dark playlist. So if you're someone out there that has been listening to the podcast because you've heard some Frank Sinatra, there is this playlist that has a lot of great Frank Sinatra hits, and it's by this person, Marcy70 on Reddit, that brought my attention to it. So check out that playlist. Check out In the Wee Small Hours if you aren't one of the many people that already have. Also, check out Songs for Swingin' Lovers. It's not getting nearly as many plays for some reason. But other than that, I rediscovered We Are Scientists today. It's a band that I really, really enjoyed back in the day. Their first album is really, really strong. And I'm going to dive into the rest of their discography. But other than that, if you like some of the hip-hop you listen to, Benny the Butcher has been on Teamu Denku's album that we covered in Pick Apart the Passion episode 1, which is on YouTube. So, if you do want to hear a track from Benny that has Benny the Butcher on it, that is a thing that I've covered. Other than that, there's the Travelers Dark podcast we're working on, and there is the Patreon. Of course, I almost fucking forgot. Patreon. We have a Patreon. We do a lot of stuff here. I produce a lot of podcasts, and I spend a lot of time on it. If you really appreciate what you've been hearing, go to our Patreon, patreon.com/flyoverstatepark, and you can find new episodes of the Side B podcast where we're trying to finish up the Sufjan Stevens 50 State Project. And we have Michigan and Kentucky out right now, and soon Alaska will be out. So we're going through each of the 50 states in album form, and that has Reese Galvin and Nathan Manny. And please go to the Patreon, check it out, or go to YouTube. You can find the 10-minute clips of each of the first couple of episodes. That is what I got to plug. Thanks everyone for tuning into the podcast. Sam, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This has been great.
Yeah. It's been really fun to dive into this album. It's been on the list from like the get-go, so we can finally cross this off and get on to maybe some Black Sabbath. I feel like we haven't given enough attention to Black Sabbath.
We should definitely do. What was the first song?
Paranoid.
The one with Paranoid. Is it self-titled or is it?
The first one I believe is self-titled.
Okay, but yeah, that's I'm not saying we have one prepared yet, but that's one of the bands I've been thinking like, oh man, we haven't done a Black Sabbath. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff we haven't done. There's a lot of albums out there, guys. We're trying to get to them. That's why we got the side.
We're gonna get to them.
We got the side B going, so we can get to more of them. Anyway, though, thank everyone for listening to the podcast. We appreciate your support over the past year. We've gotten a lot of listens in the pandemic, and we hope that you are appreciating what we've got. So, keep listening, keep tuning in, and we will have another concept album for you next week. Thanks for listening. The Album Concept Hour is Brad LeBaron, Dave Gallagher, John Aker, and Scott Wesley. Special thanks to King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard for the theme music. Please like us on Facebook or friend us on Twitter or MySpace and let us know what concept album you would like to hear on the podcast. See you on Side B. This is Flyover State Park. You are clear to land.